Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into another video. This one specifically we're going to be showing how to replace a Rainbird PGA valve. This one just happened to be 2-inch. Yeah, and let's get into it. This is just the way I go about digging out the valve. And then in this case, the reason for this repair was due to a lot of foot traffic. Just the way the valve box sat on top of the valve caused it to, sit on top of that flow control. So every time someone would step on that valve box, it would cause it to get stuck on and, cause a lot of water issues for it to be, stay stuck on, a lot of water runoff, etc. And yeah, here we're just kind of going about removing all the PVC pieces just so, it's out of my way and I can make my repair the way that I want to make it. And yeah, I also noticed that the main line side was super flimsy. I think it was due to either a slip fix or something behind that 90, which was causing it to be super loose. And here, like I said, we're still just getting rid of all the PVC that I don't need, and that is going to help me, make the repair a lot better than what it was. Also, what PGA stands for is plastic globe angle valve, and in my opinion this is the best globe valve. I've had a lot of success with it, although it's mostly used for residentials. In the commercial side of everything, it works wonders. And then here on the main line side, I wasn't planning on removing this male adapter, but just the way that it sat going into that lateral line, I didn't like how high it was and just how much pressure sat on that lateral line due to how high it was. So I ended up just taking off that male adapter and redoing that main line side of it as well. Here, this PGA valve isn't glued on to PVC just yet. I kind of just have it there as a reference point. And I'm going to begin gluing and primering and gluing all of the fittings to the pipe. And then kind of how I could go about priming and gluing is with the primer itself. I kind of use it as an indication for the fitting, just so I could visualize to what point the fitting needs to fully go all the way in so that it sits on the seal of the fitting. So in this case, you'll kind of see, you won't be able to see that primer once the fitting's all the way in. So all you'll see is that glue right around the rim of that coupling. And to me, that's just an indication that the fitting went all the way in. Also, another little tip when you're gluing and primering is you always want to put it on the very edge of the PVC. So once you actually put that fitting all the way in, or the PVC all the way into the fitting, the glue itself would hit the seal of whatever fitting you're using, whether it's a coupling, 45, 90, male adapter, and it will just create a greater seal and less of a chance of it breaking in the future or not having the correct seal to it. And here kind of what I'm doing is just seeing what angle I want that 45 and how I want to cut this PVC. You always want to measure 50 million times and cut once, so that's kind of what I'm doing here, just trying to see where I need to cut this PVC so that the 45 will adjust itself and, sit correctly once the valve and everything's all in place. And then, like always, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. If you have something that I didn't answer, if you know you have a different way about going about a repair similar to this, definitely leave it down below. You know, I'm always open to different ideas. This is kind of just the way I've always done it, and I've had a lot of success with, so this is always the way I go about it, usually. Also, if you've stuck around this far, thanks for watching. There's a couple of you guys who, you know, come every week and watch my videos, so I really appreciate it. And then here, just the same thing, like I said, you always want to measure 50 million times, cut once. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, measuring. And a lot of people I've seen use tape measures or, you know, just anything else. I kind of just eyeball it, but from that eyeball, you know, 2020, definitely see it. And, you know, it's always had a, you know, it always sits well, so it's kind of how I go about it. Same thing as well. I've had a lot of people, you know, comment on what's the correct amount of glue or what's the correct amount of primer that you want to use, that so that you don't have any issues with the pipe or the fitting. There's really no, in my opinion, no necessarily like issue with an excess amount of primer or glue, as long as you don't get an insane amount inside the actual pipe, so that once it actually runs through the system, it doesn't get stuck in the diaphragm of the valve or even in the nozzle of the sprinkler heads once it's on. Other than that, there should be no real issue to that. The glue and the primer should all stick into the fitting as well as the PVC pipe, so there should be no real issue with that. And then yeah, so same thing here. If you see how close that pipe is, once that 45 will be in there, you kind of see there's no real wiggle room once everything's actually glued in. So that was just kind of an indication to myself that everything's going to sit well, and you know, it'll be all good to go. Also, for myself, what I like to do is just an aesthetic view to the eye. Everything gets buried anyways, but with all of the PVC, what I tend to do is put all of the code and all the you know, the words on top of that PVC. I like to have it pointing upwards. To me, it just looks a lot cleaner that way. So that's also why I kind of go about it that way. That's why you can see where it says Schedule 40, 280 psi, etc. all over that. And then here, I'm just trying to make sure everything's going to sit well, and you know, kind of the approach that I'm going to take when I'm putting in those two final fittings at once. Here's my foot going in there, just, you know, trying to get in the right position so that everything goes well once, you know, according to plan, once I put everything all together. Also, same things, like it's super unfortunate that in this line of work everything gets buried. You know, I've had some repairs that it's a beauty, but unfortunately you have to bury it, and you know, it's not really seen from the, you know, people who've seen you on the properties or who know you're making a repair. And that's also kind of why I tend to leave it as if I was never there, just so, you know, it just looks beautiful at the end of the day. And here we're going. I'm putting in the 45, pushing it all the way in, and then sitting it on this main line side. And you always want to hold the fittings and everything for about 5 seconds. I tend to hold it a little bit longer just in case. And then also just because this is a 2-inch PVC pipe, so. But yeah, that's pretty much all it is to it. Like I said, if I didn't answer any questions or if you guys have any, definitely leave it down below. Also, a little quick tip, you don't gotta necessarily bury these repairs afterwards. You could kind of just snap your fingers and it'll do it on its own. I'll show you here what I mean.
Oh wait, not yet.
Yeah, but thanks guys for watching. Leave a like, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.